Welcome back, everybody. Your host, Robert Taylor with Wonderscape Studios. Continuing on the dynamically changing landscape material. Um, Last time we left off with the material able to change from green to brown based off of us inputting the keyboard 1, changing it by 0.1 every single time we clicked. This time around, we're going to make it to where it starts off of from the height and continues to lower until it fills the whole place. So in order to do that, we'll come back in here into Surface, and from right here, let me get this up here, sorry. We are going to first add a multiply, so hold down M. We're going to place that in here, and that like that. And then I should have it here, so MF underscore height mask. It knew where I was going, look at that. We're going to put that right there in here. Type of height mask, we want it from going from up to down, so I can just leave that alone. Starting height, so we need to get starting height. Height variation, depth and variation size. We could change that if we wanted to make it look cool, and we might. And then edge smoothness we don't need to change. We also don't need to change these all dynamically either. You could if you really wanted to, but we're not going to, at least not in this video. So obviously we're going to want the fall color transition. But we need to add more parameters in here. So we're going to come over here into our material parameter collection. We're going to click on this right here to add another one. And the first thing we're going to want is, we can close this. We don't need this right now. We don't need this, so I'm going to close that. Sorry. We want starting height. So we're going to name this starting height. I'm going to put this to how it should be, because that's how I do it. Who am I kidding? That's not how I do it. They're definitely spaced. You want to make sure you keep your naming convention the same throughout your project. At least try to. So the starting height right now is saying 0, and we know that the starting height is like right here somewhere. But we want the starting height to be all the way up there. So how do we figure that out? Well, we could, okay, I don't have it open. Come over here, click on this, and in the procedural, we could add the upper height mask. This is a really good way to figure it out. Come on. Stop clicking on that, thank you. When you have the landscape clicked and there's a lot going on, it slows things down. Now, obviously, right now we're not seeing any changes, and that's because we need to go to Surface 3, I believe, if I recall correctly. I'm going to come here. I'm going to put the saturation to 5. Yeah. And we'll put the tint influence to 2. Okay, that didn't do what I wanted it to. Let's change the brightness to 0. Interesting. Oh, even though I put Surface 3, it's showing me Surface 1 right now. Let's go back over here. Click on this. Okay, so it's 2. I have a hard time remembering, and I really shouldn't. There we go. So I have that set to brown, that way we can see it. I'm gonna close that back out and go to the procedural stuff, and we have the height set up. End height set at 120. Remember, that's actually 12,000. So I put that at 0. Oh, that's the wrong height. I was like, what's going on here? This is the dangers of having a whole bunch. Procedural height here. I need the use upper height mask. So I need the upper height mask. So if we come up here, here we go, to upper height mask. Starting at 5,000. Now that makes sense. If we put it down to 0, that's where it's at. If we put it at 10,000, we can still see it right up here. We can see the yellow. So now if we make this 12,000, whoops, we can still see some. So we want to make this 13,000. So we know we want 13,000. And that's how we get that to start. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to reset this to 5,000. Remember, doing that doesn't work for some reason. I'm not sure why clicking on that revert arrow doesn't change it, but it doesn't. Anyways, we now know where we want to start. So we're going to come back up here, turn this off. We now have a starting location that we can utilize for everything we want height-based for this specific landscape. If you're using a different landscape, the height is going to be different. You just need to find it. So we have this starting height. Come back to here. Come over here. Oh, I think it's because I need to save this. Come over here. Nope, it's not wanting to show. Come back over here, put this in here. There we go. Put that in the starting height. For now, I'm going to keep these exactly the same because we want to show it working. So how do we do that? Again, we come over here. So just so that we can know that it's working, I'm going to set this right here to 1. We're going to hit save. We're going to hit save on this, and this should change back to green. Give it a minute. There we go. Back to green. And that's how we control it. So multiply that does the transition information for us. We have it set to 1. It's going to stay at 1 this time around. And now we're going to come right here. Now, instead of doing this over, multiple clicks because there's a lot, I am going to create a timeline. So right click timeline. And I'm going to do, I don't know, death fall, I guess is what I'll call it. We'll do play from start. I'm going to open this up. We're going to want to track. We're going to make this over 20 seconds. Add float track. Click on this. Time at 0. And we put this at believe that's how I did it. Sorry, I'm looking real quick. Here we go. Okay. So I set this stays at 0. Wanted to make sure I was doing it the same way. We put this at the max time limit and set that to 1. And then I'm going to click on this right here. Compile and save. Sorry, I usually name these alpha. Now I'm going to come back here into the event graph. We're going to utilize this. Put an update. We're going to do the height. And in here we're going to do alert. The alpha into the alpha. The starting is at the 13,000. And then we're going to have it end at negative 13,000. And that's that. Now if we hit save, come down here, we're going to hit play. I type 1. Look at that. It's transitioning based off of the height. Isn't that cool? Now we could go a step further if we really wanted to, and we do. We're going to come over here. We're going to copy and paste this again. We're going to do this. Instead of starting height, we're going to go with full color transition. We'll go from 0 to 1. Place that into the alpha. Hit compile and save. And hit 1. You can see that it's slowly changing to darker while it's also going down. By the time it's all the way down, it will be fully and properly dead brown. See? That is how you do these kind of transitions. Obviously that color is a little more red than my liking, but right now we're just trying to make it work. Because we can change the curves however we see fit. So that is how you change things based off of height, which is pretty cool. So if we want, we're going to change this up a bit more. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to change this to, we'll change this to 50. Yeah. I'm going to come over here, change this to 50. So it's going to take 50 seconds for it to get to the bottom and to change. To change and transition. So if we wanted to, we could do a sequence node. This is how you know things get a bit complicated. I'm just going to keep it at that. I'm going to come over here, play from start, double click, and instead this one will be 20. And I'm only doing this so that it's easier to see. We're going to change this to 20. Easier to see what I'm doing. Now we're going to add the height variation depth and height variation size. Defaults are set 3 fed into multiple by 2000, so this is 3 and this is 500. So to be a bit on the crazy side, we're going to come over here. I'm going to add 2 more. We'll name this one variation depth. Starts at 500. And variation size, which starts at 3. We'll hit save. We're going to come on in over here. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes. Now let's see if that happens again when I do this. There we go. It was just being weird earlier. Variation depth, we'll place right here. And then variation size. We'll save that. Sorry, it's got to do its thing. I forgot. What we're going to have it do is we're going to go to add a timeline for it that is going to change its whole thing rapidly over the 50 seconds. And we're doing that simply so that you can see the power behind this. So come back over here to this. Close this timeline. I'm going to close this timeline. And we're going to create another one of these. This one, start that like this. No, we would want this to start before. It doesn't really matter. This is just how I choose to do it. Play from start. Now we're going to do this. Copy and paste. Update. Alpha. Change this to depth. Change this to size. This one starts at 500. And we'll have it stick with between 500 and 1,000. This one starts at 3. So we'll have it starting at 3. Actually, we'll have it starting at 1 because I wanted this to go between them. And then we're going to have it go as far as 6. And what we're going to do here, we're going to click on here, and this is where things are going to get fun. We're going to shift and click a bunch of points. And then you're going to move them. Just like this. Because we're crazy. Now that I'm going to select all of them, should click on this one because I missed it. Right click, auto. There we go. Gonna hit save. Now we're gonna see what happens. Start from right here. It'll be easier to see everything. Hit play. And hit 1. There we go. See how crazy this is? Just back and forth as it's doing its thing. Showing just how much you can change. Now obviously this is a horrendous example of how it would work, because it's not how things do actually work, but it shows you the strength and power behind this as we continue on. So this will be the end of this episode. On the next one, we will now focus on getting it to start based off of area. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or have suggestions or ideas for future episodes, please go ahead and please leave those in the comment section, or join my Discord and leave them there. And please make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you again for your time. Have a great one.